In this video series, we're going to learn how to create an animated visualization of the selection sort algorithm. You may want to watch these videos in the intended order, so check out the description for the link to the playlist. In the last video, we learnt about the selection sort algorithm and how it works. In this video, we're going to have a quick look at how to implement the algorithm using C# in Unity. The first thing we want to do is to create a game object and add a script component to it called something like selection sort script. Let's open this script ready for editing. Before moving on, let's create a function to do the selection sort. We'll make sure we can also pass in our unsorted list as an integer array. Now, if you remember from the last video, we went through our list from left to right, with the aim to swap the smallest number into the beginning of the list. We then considered these smallest numbers that we've swapped to be sorted, and we don't include them in our next left to right pass. This can be implemented using a loop within the loop, so let's write the first one. We're going to create an integer variable named min, which we'll use to keep track of the index of the smallest number that we encounter during our left to right pass. This was visualized in the last video using the color red. Then, we'll write our first loop, which lets us go through every number in our array. As far as we're concerned, the first number in the unsorted part of our list may be the smallest number, so we'll set min to I, just in case it is. If you imagine going from left to right, we start with the number at the index 0 of our array. Now, we want to look at every other number coming after this one and see if it's smaller. This is done using a second loop within the first one, which goes through every number in our array, but starting from the first unsorted number from the one that we're looking at. We'll use an if statement to check if the number we currently consider to be the smallest number in min is larger than the number we're now looking at. If it is, we'll update min to be the index of this newly found smallest number. Once that loop is finished, we'll have another if statement. This one makes sure that the swap only takes place if the index of the newly found smallest number isn't the same as the position we were looking to swap out. Otherwise, we'd be swapping a number with itself, which is a waste of time. However, if the index is different, we swap out the numbers. To do this, we need to quickly create an integer named temp as a temporary swapping space. This is because it's not possible to swap the numbers within two integer variables without having a third variable in place. So, first we move a number in the first position of the unsorted list into temp. Then, we move the newly found smallest number into the first position of the unsorted list. And then, we move the value in temp into the position that held the newly found smallest number. That's it for our swap. Now that we have a working selection sort function, let's move on to using it. In our start function, we'll initialize an array with unsorted numbers, and then we'll invoke the selection sort function with this array as its parameter. However, none of our code deals with any printing to the screen, so let's create a new function called printArray, which will just build a string from an integer array and print it to the console. Then, we'll call this function once every time a number is swapped so we can see the progress, and then once before we pass the array to the selection sort algorithm. If we click Run and then switch to the console, you can see that our list and the different steps it went through to get sorted have been printed. Before ending the video, let's visualize the sorting of the same array using the animated approach that we'll be covering in the next videos. That's all for this video on implementing the selection sort algorithm using C# in Unity.